I'd have moved forward too. Yeah. All right. I'm telling you, this crazy thing. Does this to me every time. Oh well. All right. Where are the peacemakers? I have got some stuff to go over today in light of everything that's going on. Probably if I was taking the advice of other people, they would probably say, don't go there, but I'm going there anyway. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are the peacemakers. You think maybe there's a time right now, a great call for peacemakers. You know, the Bible was not written from the viewpoint of the dominant, from the victor side. All of our history is given to us from the victor, but the Bible is given to us from the slave's point of view. And when you've never been a slave, that's a viewpoint that I mean, how can you imagine that, right? I mean, it'd be tough. I mean, I know I need to miss a few meals, but how many of y'all has missed a few meals? Not because you was trying to, but because you didn't have nothing. Probably every one of us opened our closet or drawers this morning and tried to think of what shirt we was going to wear, because there was 11 of them there. And you get so bored you think, man, I'm hungry, but you really ain't hungry, but you don't know what you want to eat, and you got everything at your beck and choice. And when that's the viewpoint, it's very, very difficult to understand, to comprehend. So what is the gospel become? I know I've went over this 1,000 times before. The gospel has become, hey, believe in Jesus and go to heaven when you die. And honestly, I think deep down, maybe in our hearts, we know that's not true. But then at the same time, if you're like me, do you not have questions? I mean, honestly, do you not have burning, daggone questions about what is going on? You know, our entire education system. You remember a few weeks ago we were talking about the tsetse and all of that, and how the rabbis and how they questioned and all this other stuff. In our society today and through our educational system, questions are not appreciated. Okay? Questions are not wanted. I mean, you are not supposed to question your leaders, your authority, your government, nothing. You're not to question them. You just be the little obedient servant. And in our minds, I guess, mine, maybe, and maybe not yours, but when I read things in the Bible, I'm like, where is that? What is that? Do you guys ever pick the Bible up and read it and say, man, we're living in that time? Now, most of the times when people do that, what do they say? End times. It's end times. And I can tell you, if you're living in end times, try to hear what I'm telling you here, then you are getting a viewpoint, because your overwhelming viewpoint is coming from empire. So if your whole mantra is, man, this is the last days, it's always last days for empire. But if you were seeing this from the kingdom point of view, it's a brand new day. It's a brand new day. I can prove all that by Scripture if you can hear it. The day star rising in your hearts. It's a brand new day. Awake, awake unto righteousness. Over and over. So Paul is not trying to say, wake up, the end of time is almost here. He's trying to say, wake up, something ended, something new has begun, and you can be a part of it. Does that make sense? So when I hear people tell me, oh my God, all the signs are being fulfilled, I say, well, maybe you're just now seeing them. If you follow those signs out, maybe they'll lead you back to the cross that happened 2,000 years ago. And then you can begin in this new day. And you think, well, what does all that have to do with blessed are the peacemakers? Because I think at this juncture, which we're not going to get to the what or the how today, but we will. Because I think a lot of people maybe, hopefully, have the desire, well, what can I do? I just don't know what to do. The system is so big. And here's one thing that I'm always against, and it's the viewpoint. Now, I say left-handed power, not right-handed power, nonviolence. But at the same time, here's the thing. I'm not saying Christian people should be a bunch of sissies. Jesus was not a sissy. Y'all know what I mean by sissy, right? Girly man. I use that term, maybe you can understand it. Jesus was not a sissy. They don't crucify sissies. He was a threat to empire. Is the church become a threat to anything? We rolled over and played dead. I mean, honestly, we've rolled over and played dead. And Paul was a threat. Peter was a threat. These guys were threats, not because they had swords and guns and all of this. They were threats because they threatened the kingdoms of this world. They really were. And we don't even know about that because we get so entangled with the kingdoms of this world that we don't know what's left, right, up, down, backwards, forwards, anything. We just believe the propaganda that they tell us. And if anybody has a smartphone, which I don't know if my phone is smart or the operator is dumb, but we're going to talk about this some more. We got war going on between Israel and Iran. Possibilities of us getting drug in the middle. Now, why? Why are we at war? Because Iran is about to get a nuclear weapon, right? How many days away are they from a nuclear weapon? How many? 2. Do you know that Benjamin Netanyahu, the lying monster thug that he is, has been saying that since the 80s, that they were 2 days away from getting a nuclear weapon? You can Google it and check it out. So they've been 2 days away from getting a nuclear weapon since the 80s. That's a long 2 days. Maybe they're under the 1 day is 1,000 years and 1,000 years is as a day thing. Or maybe, as usual, It's just lies to go to war. Because that's what the monster feeds on. Of course, you can go, and when you go down that rabbit hole, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, it is crazy. But Hebrews 2:14, what do they rule by? Fear. So you're always afraid. So they come at you, oh my God, the Iranians are about to knock on the door. They're about to invade. They got warships right off the coast, right? Come on. Oh, and if they do get a nuclear weapon, the first thing they're going to do is blow up Israel. And we can't let that happen because that's God's chosen people, and we are the great protectors of the whole world, so we have to save the world because we don't have a real Savior. So it's just propaganda. Keep the monster going. Go with me to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. I'm going to start in verse 3. Just read some stuff, and man, let's ask some questions, okay? Can we just be honest and just ask some daggone questions here? Because I know the end time people, who are they looking for? Are they looking for Jesus? They're looking for Antichrist. They're looking for the beast. And the beast, the Antichrist, he's going to be blonde-headed and blue-eyed, right? Probably with a T-shirt on that says, I'm the Antichrist. Right? And the beast, and what do you guys think about all that stuff? Do you ever think about it? Who is it? What is it? Where is it? When is it? Does any of these things come into mind? Is it real? Is it not real? Of course it's real. Wouldn't be in the Bible. But how does it work out in mine and your life? Is there any chance, that it says in the Bible that even the very elect would be fooled? And I wonder, are you guys like me? Are you guys the only ones who can never be fooled? You ain't going to get nothing on me. Yeah, right. I'm watching the guy with the cups and the one ball, and I'm like, oh, I got you, buddy. That cup. How in the world did he do that? Just a simple ball and 3 cups thing. I can't even figure it out. I remember a guy in the Marine Corps showed me a card trick one time. Everybody's a magician, right? And I didn't even realize he talked me into picking the very card. And when I picked it, I thought I picked it. And I was amazed when he laid it out there. The old trick, pick a card. I'd say 7 of hearts. He'd say, okay, pick another one. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get him this time 4 of clubs. Okay, 4 of clubs. How many cards you want to lay out for? He laid out 4 of clubs. 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. I said, how did you do that? I picked a card. Let me think I was making a choice. Listen to this. Verse 3, even if our gospel is veiled. Now, what does veiled mean? Let's just look. It means it's covered up, right? We got communion. You can't see it if you didn't know, and you'd be thinking, what is that? What is that? It's veiled. It's covered up. So in order for you to see what's there, we got to pull the veil back so you can see what's there. Do you know what that action is called? Revelation. Revelation means to pull the curtain back. So there's a veil, something is behind it, I can't see, pull the curtain back. So Paul says that even if our gospel is veiled, is hidden, it's there, but it's hidden. It's veiled to those who are perishing. Now, did he say it's veiled to those who are going to hell? Did not say that. This would have been a good place to insert that, right? Now, what is Paul saying? Look, there are 2 paths here. There's one path that leads to destruction, right? And that path, Paul says, is those who are on that path are perishing. They're going to destruction. Now, don't take it too far, but it's a road of violence and lies and darkness and oppression. I mean, how do we break that down in our life? You know, family splits, divorce, all of that stuff is this road. Then there's another road, a road of life, the way, right? So there's two roads. So Paul says the gospel is veiled to those who are on this road going to destruction. Now, let's just right there, is that fair? I know how we would have believed this in primitive Baptists. We would have said, oh, well, God predestined them to that. Paul is not saying that. And we're going to see here. Paul says those who are going down this road, the gospel to them is hidden. It's covered up. It's hidden. Now, we could just sit back and we could say, well, heck with them. The gospel's hid from them. God must have meant it to be hid for them because the gospel ain't for everybody. Well, let's just read. In whose case the God of this world, now you're looking at that verse right there. That's a little g God, isn't it? The God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelieving. Now, did he say God, the big God, creator, Elohim, Jehovah, Yahweh is blind? No, the God of this world has blinded their minds so that they might not see the light. Again, so we got light. Now, what's in contrast to light? Darkness. So they might see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. So we got a question here, right? Who is the God of this world? Because if I'm reading this right, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, the God of this world has veiled the gospel. In other words, the God of this world has covered it up, has hidden the gospel, right? So the gospel was meant for these people, but the God of this world, now we got to use God here to say there's some power here, right? So this guy has the ability to veil this gospel. In other words, the gospel that is light and covered over so that they do not see this. And then he breaks this down to this gospel is really talking about a person here. The light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. So in other words, I've got an image problem. Are y'all with me here? I've got an image problem. So instead of having an image of light, I'm going to have an image of darkness. Right? Okay. Let me keep reading. For we do not preach ourselves, but Christ Jesus as Lord, and ourselves as your bondservants on account of Jesus. In other words, I'm not preaching me here. I'm preaching Jesus, and I'm a bondservant. You know what that means right there? Bondservant. Do y'all know what that means? Let's just say that we had this. We used to have it in the United States. We don't have it anymore, but let's just say that we had slaves. And I went down to the market. You guys ever go to the flea markets on Monday? I went down to the flea market. I'm looking at the knives and I'm looking at the guns. And I'm going to see what slaves I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy a knife. I'm going to buy a gun. I'm going to buy a couple slaves because I got some corn we need to work. So I go down to the market. I see William. William's big, strong, young. Not very. I think, man, I bet I can get some work out of him, so I buy him. I put my mark on him. Boom. Now William belongs to me, right? I tell him when to get up, when to go to bed. I tell him what is. So Paul is saying, I am now owned by Christ Jesus. I mean, you understand? This is where we get the word redeemed from. You and me, when they make it sound like, oh my God, you accepted Jesus. I mean, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. See, we say those things because we always want to be in charge. Jesus come and redeemed you. I mean, you understand that. He came and got you. He went down to the slave market and saw the slaves and said, I'm going to buy every one of them. And that's where this redeemed comes from. Okay, so he bought the whole lot. Now, who didn't he buy? He bought them all. All of us he bought. Right? Are y'all with me so far? So we bought them all. But in that buying of them, some of them still cannot see the gospel, because the God of this world is still exercising rulership over them. In other words, they think they belong to the God of this world. Now, so it took some gospel for that breakthrough to come through for us to understand, wow, we are sons of God, bond servants of God. I mean, adopted into the family. Imagine that. Into the family of God. I was thinking about this yesterday. And let's just say William, who's slave. And let's just say he's not. Well, let's say William has a problem with the government. William says, I just don't like the way things are going. I think my taxes are too high. I don't like this inflation. I don't like it. I'm going to D.C. I'm going in and I'm going to talk to the president. I'm going to say, buddy, you need to get things right. I don't like what's going on. Now, you guys are laughing. Why do you laugh about that? Because they're going to throw him on his face before he gets anywhere near there, right? I mean, that's correct, right? I'm telling y'all with me? So he ain't going. And if he does, you think anybody cares? No. But yet, the creator of all things, now get this, the creator of all things, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things, has gave you free access to himself. And you can bring all of your grievances, all your cares cast on the Lord, right? I can say, Lord, I don't like this. And, I've heard people say, well, you can't question the Lord. Listen, you ever read the Psalms? It's like, Lord, where you at? Are you going to wake up and kill? Do you see what your enemies are doing to me? Well, Lord, where are you? I can't believe this is going on to me. We're supposed to be yours. So I got some grievances I'm filing with him. And he says, you got open access to come into the throne of grace. Now, you cannot walk into the White House and announce your grievances, but you can come into the maker of all things. Now, just think about the privileges that you have. Think about it. Let me keep reading. For God, verse 6, who said, light shall shine out of darkness. Now, he just said it, didn't it? Light be, and light shined out of darkness. Is the one, this one who says, light shine out of the darkness, is the one who has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God we're at. Right in the face, right in the person of Jesus himself. Right in the very person of Jesus. If you want to know what the glory of God looks like, look at Jesus. And if you want to know what the ultimate glory of God looks like, look at Jesus hanging on the cross. You want to know what the power of God looks like, look at Jesus hanging on the cross. Now, does that look like power? Does that look like glory? It don't. That looks like some fool lost it all. You see, that's why it's so hard for us to get it. That's power. That's power that brought nations down. That's not a sissy Christian, right? No. That is power. And then, let me keep reading. But we have this treasure. What is the treasure? What is the treasure? Oh my God, what is the treasure? What is the treasure? We just read it. We just read it. To give light, in other words, pull the veil back, to give light of the knowledge of the glory. So the light, the understanding, the comprehension of the glory of God is the treasure. Do you get that? Now, you are to lay up your treasures in heaven. You ever tried to do that? I want to go to the bank of heaven and put my, have my check deposited in the bank of heaven because I'm laying up my treasure. Here is your treasure, the light of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Now what face is it? It's this face with the crown of thorns and covered in blood. It's this face, bowed head that gave everything. It's this face. That's the treasure that we have. Where do we have that? In these earthen vessels. Let's just be real with it. This ain't some magic dust or a good feeling. This is the understanding of the glory and power of God. And we have it here. We have it here. Now listen. So that the extraordinary greatness of the power will be of God and not from ourselves. So the extraordinary greatness of this power, because who has this kind of power? My God, we would rather take lives than give ours up, right? We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not despairing. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. Uh-oh. Look at the next verse. Remember, you have this treasure in earthen vessels. Always carrying about in the body, in us, the dying of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our body. See, guys, we want the life. We're just praying for the life. We want to skip the other part. For we who live are constantly being handed over to death. Why? For Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our mortal flesh, in our bodies. Verse 12, so death works in us, but life in you. Does this sound like something you want to come to church for? Hey, come to our church. What are y'all doing? We're bearing about the death of the Lord in our body. Oh, sign me up. I want to go. Because the other sounds so good and so inviting. But the other, Paul says, it leads to perishing. Right? So let's go back. Go back to verse 4. Go back to verse 4. Let's go on a search here. Who is the God of this world? Who is this God who is hiding the gospel? Who is the God that is hiding this gospel and the people that are on this road perishing? They don't get it. They don't come to this understanding, this knowledge of truth that would bring them into the light and bring them into glory. What is it? I mean, could we easily be duped into the same thing? Who is the God of this world? Okay. Let's go to the Gospel of John. John's Gospel, chapter 12, verse 31. John chapter 12, verse 31. Now, this is Jesus speaking here. And Jesus really messed up in what he said. Because what Jesus is supposed to say here is that one of these glad days in the end of time, there's going to be a great throne of judgment. And the books are going to be open, and they're going to play videos and show all the bad stuff you did, and the whole world's going to see it. And the good are going to go here, and the bad are going to go there, right? That's what Jesus meant to say. So Jesus must have been drinking communion wine or something when he said this. Look, Jesus says, now is the judgment of this world. You know what? I'm stupid enough to just believe when Jesus said, now is the judgment of this world, he really meant it. Now, what does he mean here? Now is the crisis, because that's what this word is, the crisis of this world, because everyone must come to this crisis. Now is the crisis of the world, because what happened, the only innocent person who ever lived, we crucified. And he said if they done it in a green tree, what are they going to do in a dry one? Who was the dry ones? That was all of us. He's the only green one. He's the only one that was perfectly innocent. And look how he ended up. What do you think the end of you is going to be? So that would bring us to the conclusion, oh my God, there is no hope for us. It ought to, just now is the judgment of this world, ought to make you shake in your boots. It ought to say, oh my God, wait a minute, time out, Lord, I got to go to the White House. I got to talk. Wait a minute, we're done here. It's over. If we did this to him, oh my God, there's no hope for us. You see, if you don't know the depths of sin and violence, you have no comprehension of grace. Grace is just, oh, grace, grace, grace. It means nothing. We were talking Wednesday about what really is sin. You know, we all know the definition. Sin is miss the mark, right? But one of the theologians gave us a good understanding of it. He said it's the culpable disturbance of shalom. Culpable, you know what culpable means? You know, you're guilty, culpable. You're culpable. So, and what is shalom? Shalom is the peace, the wholeness, the harmony of God. And sin ought to be used in the same terms as we would use rape. Now, again, those are strong words, and they're meant to be strong words. If I said, hey, you know, rape is not nice. That's not a strong enough word, is it? And if I said, you should rape less, you would think he's lost his mind because this is horrible. Well, guess what sin is? It's horrible. So to give you a list, well, you know, all you bunch of backsliders, you sin, you had a bad thought, and you did this. I mean, come on. Sin is the rape of God's harmony. And it destroys everything. Thanks be to God, he's bringing judgment upon the whole system. And remember, our question was, who is the ruler of this world? Who is the God of this world? Who is blinding people that they're going down the road perishing, right? And look, Jesus says, now judgment is upon this world. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out. Who was ruling the world at that time? At that time, Caesar held the top spot. Do you think he was talking about Caesar? I mean, was he, you know, he wasn't talking about Caesar. There was another one who was controlling Caesar, who was ruling the world, and he says he is going to be cast out. Cast out of what? You ever think about that? Well, I mean, where's he going to be cast out of? He's going to be cast out. And if I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw all to myself, all men to myself. And look, guys, I wish people would read the stinking Bible. I know it's not called us to think of Bible, but I say, my God, read the Bible because I hear it all the time. Man, we're lifting up Jesus at church. We got to lift up Jesus. We got to lift up Jesus. Read the next verse. Now he was saying this to indicate what kind of death he was going to die. He didn't say he was saying this so when the church gets together and they sing the right songs, they can lift up Jesus and then all the people in the whole county will go to your church. He was saying he's going to the cross. And this cross will bring the decision, the judgment on the ruler of this world. And guys, I want to tell you what, it's always that way. Because nothing else will do. I mean, you and me, we must come face to face with the cross. And when you do, it is devastating. It brings judgment and destruction to everything. And at the same time, it is grace and life and peace and wholeness. How could one thing be both? But it is. It's destruction and it is life. I mean, who could know these things? I mean, this is why it's so comprehensive. We think it's 2 or 3 different events. I mean, out of his side flowed what? Life, man, life. Water, life to drink. And then he says, because you bear about in your bodies the dying of Jesus, that out of your bellies will flow the same river. That all who are thirsty will come and drink, right? Okay. Verse 35, still in chapter 12. So Jesus said to them, for a little while longer, the light is among you. Who's he talking about? He's talking about himself, right? He calls himself the light. I'm the light of this world, and I'm going to be among you. Walk while you have the light. Walk while you have the light, so that darkness will not overtake you. Okay? So he's telling us to walk, not stand still, to walk. In other words, I mean, these are all metaphors. This is a growing, because what happens if I stand still? Man, the darkness will get me. Right? I mean, honestly, so if I just stand here, man, I'm rooted and grounded, I'm right here, I'm not going anywhere. You're in danger of the darkness. We all are. I'm telling you, if what you believed 5 years ago is the same as you believe today, your light has become darkness. Honestly, I mean, I know that's hard. We're like, man, we've held on to this doctrine for 100 years. Darkness will overtake it. It always does. It's always a growing, always a growing. Now look, here's what he says. The one who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light so that you may become sons of light. So this invitation, this encouragement to keep going, you have the light, and okay, walk while you have the light. Darkness is going to come, but then you see here. Now we're talking about who is the ruler of this world. Now how does the ruler of this world rule? He ruled through darkness by covering over the gospel of the glory of God. He covered it over. You see what I mean? One of the ways he covers it over, one of the ways, this just came to me, but it's true. One of the ways he covers it over is that Jesus had to pay off the mafia boss in the sky, God, with his own body. So now God was like, I'm going to kill somebody. And Jesus says, oh, hang on, wait a minute, I'll die for him. Okay, because I got to have blood. So then, if God is violent, then you have a right to be violent. But if God is love, you understand? So in other words, if my God that I serve is violent and needs somebody, listen, that wasn't for God. That was for us. You get a hold? Go back in Levitical system. Go read Leviticus. All these sacrifices. You ever think why? Why would God say bring 2 turtle doves, bring a pigeon, bring a lamb, bring a bullock, bring one of 7 years? Why was that? Does anybody ask why? Do you guys ask why? Or do you just say because God said? I don't hear any noise here. Does anybody ask why? Somebody tell me. Somebody throw something. Well, why all the sacrifices? Anybody? Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. I mean, well, the whole Torah is full of this. Have you guys just read it and read it? See, your education system has told you don't ask why. Just believe it. Oh, I'm just going to believe it dumbly. Right? And so I don't even know why God said, okay, take meal and put it in a pan and fry up the bacon and give it to your man, right? Yeah, it wasn't him that said that, okay? I'm just trying to say, why would you have all of these things? I mean, what is going on here? Is God so mad that you better have blood on everything? I mean, you got to put blood on this corner, on that corner. You got to have blood on your big toe. You got to have blood on your thumb. Yeah, do y'all believe me? Y'all think I'm making this up? You got to have blood everywhere. And everywhere I go, it's blood. It's blood. It's blood. It's blood. So if I'm just looking, God must be a vampire. So you guys have never asked the question, why? I mean, why did God give us Leviticus? Just to tell us don't eat carp and owls? I mean, why? You guys don't seem like these questions bother you. They bother me. They need to bother you. I don't know what to do to stir you up, to bother you a little bit of it. But see, maybe if you would have been in that time, all the gods during that time in every little town had a god. Cedar Bluff had a god. Bailey Switch had a god. Maxwell had a god. Okay, everybody had a little god around. And the gods were always angry. And you didn't know if you could pacify the god. So you offered sacrifices. And what if I just offered a sacrifice of my corn and potatoes and a flood came and washed half my village away? Well, God is angry, so I need to step up my sacrifice here. So now, man, I'm going to do more and more and more until eventually I'm offering my own children. Because I got to appease an angry God who doesn't get involved in anything other than wipe us out. There could be plagues, there could be droughts, there could be floods, anything. So this God, Jehovah, is giving them an entire system so that they can have peace among themselves. That whole sacrificial system wasn't for God. It was for them. Go read the Bible. God says sacrifices and offerings I never required. It wasn't me that needed it. It was you. Do you get what I'm saying? So people need an angry God. And as long as you have an angry God, then that gives you the right to be angry with your neighbor. And he blinds their minds. You understand? So the ruler of this world can come in and give you a view of this God and make it look like Jesus was buying off the God in the sky. So now violence can continue. And we can go down the road to perish. And you understand how important these things are. So when you go back and you read these things in Old Testament, think to yourself, what a gracious God. He gave them this because this is how scared they was. Blood here, blood on the toes, blood on the thumbs, blood everywhere. Because they didn't know, and God is saying, man, I can't wait till I can show you how I truly am. And he did right here. Okay. Verse 44. Still in the same. Now Jesus cried out and said, the one who believes in me does not believe only in me, but also in him who sent me. And the one who sees me sees him who sent me. So Jesus said, if you've seen me, then you've seen the real, true Creator, the Father. You've seen him. If you see me. Now, see is more, because there's a lot of people saw him. They didn't see. Right? They saw, but they didn't see. Right? You got to have eyes to see. What are you looking for? Okay. Because, who thought that was the glory? The disciples thought that? No, they all left. Everybody left. And all that's left there is the mockers. Oh, if you're who you say you are, get yourself down. You understand here. I have come, verse 46, as light into the world, so that no one who believes in me will remain in darkness. Now, this word believe here, again, this is not a mental thing. It's not a mental thing. Throw that out. Well, I believe. It's the word pistos. And it's the word faith. We use it as faith. Now, what is faith? To break it all the way down here into a simplest forms means I'm going to trust this is the way. I'm going to trust him. He said, trust him. I'm going to trust him. And if you trust him, you walk in the light. Even though it may be dark. But, one of the daily readings I read all the time, the word is a lamp unto my feet. The word is a lamp unto my feet. And I know that word became flesh and dwelt among us, and his name is Jesus. And he's a lamp unto my feet. He says, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. There's a lot of people right now in our society trying to bring about the battle of Armageddon so that Jesus will come back. I know you think that's crazy, but 99% of all your politicians are that way. It blows my mind. People that I had the utmost respect for, and then I start listening to them, and I think, God almighty. Mr. Mike Huckabee, it slipped out. A few of the others. Now look at this. If anyone hears my teaching and does not keep them, I do not judge him. Now wait a minute. We just had a judgment a minute ago. I do not judge him. He keeps my teaching. For I did not come to judge the world. What? I didn't come to judge the world, but to save the world. Now, what are we talking about here? Saving. Now, let's stay in context. What's the context? The context is light and darkness. Right? That's the context. Light, darkness. So Jesus says, I didn't come to judge the world, which would be to do what? Throw all the people, keep all the people in darkness, but I come to save the world. So staying in context would mean bringing you from darkness to light. You see, he didn't say go to heaven when you die. I need to bring you out. I need to pull the veil back so you can see what God is really like so that you can come out of the darkness. And what is the darkness? The darkness is where I hate you and you hate me and I do violence to you and you do violence to me and we just keep it up. And the only way to assuage the anger is to have scapegoats. So if I have scapegoats, then I don't have to fight my whole nation. But if I don't have a scapegoat, then it's nation versus nation. And if you'll see, always in our society, if you don't know who to hate, they'll tell you. If you got up this morning and you said, I wonder who I'm supposed to hate today. Turn the news on. They will tell you. You don't even have to wait. And if you think, well, I don't know if I want to hate them people, just hang on a minute. They're about to get a nuclear weapon and blow you up. Or they're gay or lesbian. Or they're illegal immigrants. And you're supposed to hate everybody, right? Because they come over here and took your jobs. How many of y'all lost a job too? I'm just saying. It's the propaganda. It's always perpetuating hate and fear. Hate and fear. Hate and fear. Always. Now, he's the ruler of this world. So now, let's go to Colossians. Colossians chapter 1, verse 13. For he rescued us from the domain of darkness. Remember, he said, I come to save the world. And how's he going to do it? He's going to save us from darkness. Right? And bring us into and transferred us to the kingdom of his beloved Son. So if I've got darkness and light, one of them is a kingdom of darkness, ruled by the ruler of this world. One of them is a kingdom of light, ruled by Jesus. Kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption. See, that's redemption. That's that word. I went down to the slave auction and bought William. I redeemed him. Now, why was William a slave? Anybody know why? Why was William a slave? You should know this. And you're thinking, oh, I just made it up. No, William was a slave. Huh? I know we can trace it back, but we got to be real careful there in Romans chapter 5. Stay in the verse. Why was William a slave? Sin. He that sins is a slave to sin. Now, what is sin? Sin is the culpable, means he did it. He violated the shalom of God. Now, how could he violate the shalom of God? God's up in heaven afar off. When William violated my peace, he violated the peace of God. And it put him in slavery. So in order to be redeemed, bought back from slavery, I have to have forgiveness of sins. So in other words, my culpability here has to be removed. And again, this substitute the word violence in there, forgiveness of violence, all the stuff, right? Have to be forgiven of it. Are you with me so far? So we've been translated out of that kingdom into the kingdom of his dear Son. Out of darkness into light. We were in a place where there was no hope. We almost live in a world today where there's no hope. We're going to be celebrate recovery up here because what are we doing? Bringing hope. And if you go on and read this letter of Paul, Paul says this great mystery, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. What is glory? See, in our minds, glory is floating around on a cloud, right? Playing a harp. Okay, go to 1 John. 1 John chapter 2. Verse 8. 1 John chapter 2, verse 8. On the other hand, I'm writing a new commandment to you. Oh, man, we need some more commandments, don't we? I'm writing a new commandment to you, which is true in him and in you, because the darkness is passing away, and the true light is already shining. You see, we got an ongoing thing here, right? The one who says that he is in the light and hates his brother is in the darkness until now. And guys, that would bring us to a question, wouldn't it? Who's your brother? I mean, that's the same. I mean, that ought to bring you to a question. Who is your brother? I mean, honestly, I mean, you ought to jump, because the Jew guy did. He says, okay, well, who is my neighbor? You know, the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. I got a question for you. Who is my daggone neighbor? This ought to make you say, who is my brother? And go to the Lord and petition him and say, who is my brother? Who am I supposed to be loving here? What do you think he's going to say? Are you sure? I mean, honestly, God don't like everybody. He's got some people he hates. The one who loves his brother and sister remains in the light, and there is nothing in him to cause stumbling. Now remember, Jesus said, walk in the light, so the darkness doesn't overtake you. And now John is saying, look, this walking is really loving, and if I don't love and my love is increasing to other people, then the darkness will overtake me and I will fall. Are y'all with me? So when I'm beginning to hate people, people groups, whatever, then what is happening to me? Darkness is at the door. Judgment is at the door. Crisis is at the door. Because who did he die for? I mean, did he die for the Iranians and the Chinese and the Americans and the American Indians? And he was innocent. And we were all guilty. But the one who hates his brother or sister is in the darkness and walks in the darkness and does not know where he is going because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Now we go back to Paul, and Paul said the God of this world has blinded their eyes, blinded their minds so that they can't see this glorious gospel. And John says when you hate, darkness overtakes you. And here's this great verse in verse 12 again. I'm writing to you, little children, because your sins have been forgiven you. Remember, I just told you they needed to be forgiven to you. This is how you got redeemed, because you was culpable in breaking the shalom of God, so your sins had to be forgiven. That's just the beginning. Little children, that's just the beginning. Rejoice, your sins are forgiven. Now what? Go out and learn to love. I'm writing to you, fathers, because you know him who was from the beginning. I'm writing to you, young men, because you have overcome the evil one. Who's the evil one? The evil one is the ruler of this world who rules through darkness. Now, I gave you the Bible language, right? The Bible language. Now, what does that look like today, in our society today? Because at the same time, you got to be careful because, we just love everybody. Listen, when people are raping and pillages, we can't condone that. That's all against the shalom of God. When people are just doing this stuff, we're not condoning it. And I know it's real easy to say, he's just condoning everything. No, read the Bible. I'm not saying everything is right. Man, mostly everything we see in the world is wrong. So now how do you and I function and get along and understand in this world who everything about it is about to cause us to stumble and fall and be in oppression and be back on the slave block? Because that's the danger. That's the danger. Religion has really, I don't even know a strong enough word to say, they have really messed us up. With the stupid questions, once saved, always saved, backslide, all these stupid American terms need to put in a garbage compactor and burnt to a billion pieces. It's just stupid stuff. So we're over here in the stupid stuff while our whole world is perishing around us and we've become incapable of bringing any light. And the thing is, we think we get it. We think we get it. But what does it really look like? Are we blind? Can we be blinded? I want to tell you, hopefully I showed you that you and I are capable of being blinded. And you know what? I've went down that road, and thanks be to God for the grace of God over and over. I have been lost as a ball in high weeds, and he's rescued me way more than one time. This is not just a one time, and then, come on. We're dumb people. We are really dumb. We're called sheep. You guys know how dumb a sheep is? Really? Have you ever went out and watched a sheep? They're not very smart. They're pretty dumb. And except for the good shepherd, they'd stay lost. Okay, so here's a challenge for you. Let's pretend, if you can, that you are a Roman citizen in the Roman Empire in the year 102 AD. Okay? Does anybody know what happened in 102 AD? Me either. The Emperor Trajan has taken over from Domitian. He's part of a five-emperor dynasty who brought prosperity and wealth to Rome and its citizens. Now, this is considered to be one of the most admired times to be part of that. I mean, he rebuilt infrastructure. He rebuilt ports. He even built a bridge across the Danube River. The Romans did that, the Roman roads, right? So now imagine you're living in the magnificent city of Ephesus in the year 102 AD. Trajan is Caesar. He's emperor. You got money. You got wealth. You got some crazy kook Christians over there. You want to be a Christian? They're talking about the gospel. They're talking about all this other stuff. Do you want to be a part of that? I mean, honestly, really? Who does? No. I don't want to give up my home. I don't want to give up my citizenship. Right? I'm not giving that stuff up. This is why Paul would talk about citizenship. You know, your citizenship is in heaven because, you know what? William was a slave. He had no citizenship. And if you have no citizenship, you belong to nothing. Right? So in other words, you were without hope in the world. So you see, all of this is on the backdrop here against empire, against all this other stuff. This is not just something here for Cedar Bluff here. This is big in the face. So imagine 102 AD, there you are. What do? You got a pocket full of Roman coins. You know, we went through this in 49 AD, right after Jesus has been crucified 19 years ago. Claudius kicks the Jews out of Rome. Imagine you're a Jew. You live in the capital city. You live in New York. And he comes into New York and says, all Jews out. And guess what happened to your property? You lost it. They confiscated it. And you say today, well, that couldn't happen today. They can't do that today. Oh, yeah. You really believe that, right? Ask the Indians. Oh, yeah, ask the Indians. And just what happens if they say, you know what, Jim and Denise, we're going to put a helicopter pad on the mountain down there. Eminent domain, we're taking your land, we're going to give you 36 cents on the dollar. Guess what happens? You got 30 cents on the dollar, and you got to go. Now, we laugh about it, but who can do this? Right? So Claudius kicks him out. Claudius dies. Nero takes over in 54, and he says, come back. So you got these scared Jews coming back into the city. Hence, Paul writes the book of Romans to talk about weak brothers and strong brothers, and what he's really saying, there's guys as we're all weak, but together we're strong. So that makes me go over here to Revelation. Because we've been talking about this. We might as well just jump right in, hadn't we? I'll never get through all this stuff. Revelation 13, chapter 1. And the dragon stood on the sand of the seashore. Then I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and on his horns were 10 crowns, and on his heads were blasphemous names. Does anybody ever read it and say, who the heck is a beast? Do you guys ever ask that? No? You guys just happy with it? You guys ain't upset with it? You guys act like you don't care. This beast comes up out of the sea. This beast is coming up out of the sea. Quick question, what's the sea represent? Atlantic Ocean or Pacific? People. So this is metaphoric language. So he wasn't talking about, oh man, you know what, I was at Myrtle Beach and all of a sudden this daggone monster comes walking up out of the sea. Most people think the Bible's literal. So underneath in the abyss. But we know, hopefully, that there is a sea, and the sea is out of all of the people, and there's a beast that's going to rise up out of the sea, and the beast is going to be good to all the people and bring all the people. And the beast I saw was like a leopard, and his feet was those of a bear, and his mouth the mouth of a lion. And the dragon, here we go, this dragon. We got language of this in Revelation 12 because the dragon made war. So that kind of gives me a hint of who this is, because the dragon made war, and the dragon is always making war, and he's given his power to the beast. And if he gives his war-making power to the beast, then what is the beast going to do? Make war. So you see how all of this kind of goes. So the beast is going to get his power from the dragon. And the dragon always makes war. Read that in Revelation 12. He made war. He's always making war. And he gives his power to the beast to make war. So whenever you see the wars going on, you should know right away that that power is coming from the beast. And that everything that you hear is going to be a lie to prop up the beast. You see, I want to shake you with, I want to rock you with this because, man, you need to understand this. Because if you don't, then the darkness overtakes you. And you know what you do? You start falling into hate. And then we tell you who to hate. And the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it was fatally wounded, and his fatal wound was healed, and the whole earth was amazed. In other words, just when, you know who Iran is? Iran is the Persian Empire. Do you all know who the Babylonians are? Iraq, Egypt, and the Greeks, all right there in the Mediterranean. I bet you guys didn't know this. We had a very good ally in 2003. You remember in 2003 who we were fighting? Weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein. We got to take him down because he's about to blow up the world with these. And guess who was our ally? No, Iran. Iran. Oh, yeah. Iran. Iran was. See, this is what the beast does. It makes allies with people. You know, Henry Kissinger said this: to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, but to be its friend is fatal. Henry Kissinger. To be the enemy of the United States is dangerous. To be its friend is fatal. I know this is crazy. It's crazy, isn't it? So one empire falls, another one comes. They worship the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like the beast, who is able to wage war with him. Okay, let me go over to chapter 11. Or not chapter 11, verse 11. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. Now what is this? We got lamb language. What is this? I'm going to tell you what it is, guys. It's religion. It's religion that takes on the nature of the beast, but it's got horns like the dragon. It's the religion that says, we got to go kill people. We got to kill people. I mean, you know what's amazing to me is they scared the people into war with Iran and all of this other stuff, and everybody's okay, and it's good, we got to blow them up, and we got to kill them, while right in front of your face is genocide being done to the Gaza and the Palestinian people, and nobody says a damn word about it. And I get mad Because I'm watching little children and babies with their arms blowed off, and they have no food, and they're starving to death, and nobody does nothing. And the Israelis say, we need to kill them all. Ask them and see. Netanyahu says, kill them all. Everyone, women, children. And he says, what is it? The lion is roared. Is that what he called this? The lion is roaring. Because God said to rise up and kill your enemies, is what the Bible says. But he got it all wrong. He didn't just miss a little bit of it, he missed the whole thing. But these are the same people who do not believe in Jesus Christ. But when I say these things, they say you're anti-Semitic. Oh no. Oh no. But those who say they are Israel, as Paul said, are not Israel. Seeking to be justified by law and refusing Jesus. Is it wrong? Now who's their number one backer? Us. And this lamb with two horns and John Hagee and blood moons and all these other crazy preachers getting all the American people to give all their money so that we can support genocide. Guys, this happened in Germany in 1940. Because this is the beast. And we're blinded by this. You understand? Now let me skip on down here. Verse 16, and he causes all, small and great, rich and poor and free and slaves to be given a mark on their right hands and on their foreheads. What did that mark mean? I told you. Earlier when I bought William at the slave market, I marked him because he belonged to me. So now the beast causes everybody to receive the mark in their hand or in their forehead to say, who do you belong to? Who do you belong to? Who do you belong to? And he decrees that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark, neither the name of the beast or the number of his name. Remember, he looks like a lion. It looks like a lamb. But his language is that of a lion. And his language is that of war. I mean, I want you to see this in everyday thing. You remember when Jesus comes walking through Samaria and they don't receive Jesus? You remember what the disciples said? By God, we'll call fire down. Like Elijah did. We'll show you. You got to grit you. We're going to call fire down. What did Jesus say? You don't know what spirit you're of. What did he tell Peter? Put your sword away. He that lives by the sword will die by the sword. Now, it doesn't seem right. We got to do something, but what does he say? These are they that trust me. And here's the question. Has anybody in here taken the mark? Y'all remember here a while back when they was giving out the shots and everybody said, oh my God, the mark is in the shot. And the mark is a social security number and the mark is, all of these other things. And I have to ask you, has anybody in here taken the mark? You can't buy or sell unless you take the mark, right? You guys go to the store? You guys don't go to the store? You guys self-sufficient? Huh? I went to the store yesterday. I had to use a bunch of these. Does anybody else have to use these? Huh. But now I wanted to go to the store and take a goat and trade that goat for some stuff. You guys are laughing. You used to do that, right? You're laughing, but now I can't. So I can't go into the store unless I use the beast system. Right? So again, it ought to make you think, what are the complications here? Because this is not just go to heaven when you die. We're all wrapped up, intertwined into a system, and it's going to take the wisdom and power and strength of God to overcome this. And if we don't start paying some attention, we're going down the road to perishing. And I'm telling you, I don't want to move out of this country. I mean, I'm proud to be here. But at the current rate we're going, the beast is going down. And let me tell you something. The beast is always going down, and everything that you have tied into the system with the beast will be burnt up and go down with it. So the more entangled you are, the harder it is. Does that make sense? Now, I know a lot of people think, well, America can never fall. How much in debt are we? 36 trillion. That's a whole lot of 20s. That's a number beyond imagination. Now, where does the bulk of all of our money spend on? Defense, war. What does the beast do? He makes war. Why do you think in the Bible it says they will learn war no more and beat their weapons? I want you to see this is real. This is absolutely real. Right now in our society, it's real and it is functioning. And they try to make us buy into this system. Look at Galatians chapter 6, verse 17. From now on, let no one cause trouble for me, for I bear on my body the marks of Jesus. Now remember, he just said the marks over here, mark in your hand, mark in your forehead, mark in your hand. What's this? This is what you do. You go to work, and what do you work with? You work with your hands, and who do you give your allegiance to? I mean, that's all it is. It's not a tattoo on the forehead. I go and I work for the beast systems. So who is the beast and how does it operate? Bear with me a little bit. The beast is empire. The beast is empire. It doesn't matter if it's American Empire, the Roman Empire, the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, the Ottomans, the Byzantines. Doesn't matter. Empire is the beast. That's why you can cut their head off and another one rises up in its place. And in the middle of that system, religion forms. And it begins to take on a personality of its own till before long. And we think it's crazy. We think it's crazy. How could Abraham offer his children? How could he do that? How could these people offer their children? I'm telling you, it's very, very easy. It's very, very easy. I remember when I joined the Marine Corps, I was gung-ho. I was ready to go. And Dad said, are you capable of killing somebody? And at that time, heck yeah. Blow them down. So in other words, what are we doing? We are offering our children in service of the beast. And then how do you do it? You sell patriotism. And then when you come home, what do they tell you, Tim, when they find out you're a veteran? Thank you for your service. They didn't used to tell you that, did they? They didn't used to tell you, but now everybody says, oh, thank you for the service. What service am I serving? Am I serving this service? Or am I serving the national interest? But then, what do we say? Oh man, we gotta have military, right? We gotta. If we didn't have a military, people would lose their identity. But at the same time, we can go to church and say, God fights our battles. You don't believe that. You do not believe that a bit. You don't believe it. You believe God is on our side and God is driving our tanks. Now think about these things I'm telling you. They ought to hit home and shake us a little bit. I was looking this up, and you guys can go check this out. The Founding Fathers, we're told the Founding Fathers wanted to start a Christian nation. They didn't. They really didn't. They did not. They wanted you to have liberty so you could worship whoever or not worship. They didn't want it to be Christian. Go look it up. You got Google. Thomas Jefferson, what church did Thomas Jefferson go to? Anybody? He's Founding Father. Anybody know what church he went to? Come on, you guys. If we're going to say it was founded on Christian doctrine, you should know what church he went to. He didn't go to church. He was a deist. He didn't believe in Jesus. He didn't believe in the Trinity, the virgin birth. He believed there was a God, and God put things in motion, and then God flew back off to heaven, and then it was left up to us that God don't get involved. Benjamin Franklin, what church did he go to? Come on, you guys don't. See, you just took for granted that it was a Christian nation. Benjamin Franklin didn't go to church either. A lot of these guys were agnostic. I mean, you understand, you just been sold this lie over and over and over. I told him Wednesday, I said, look, this is not Trump's fault. When I say this, you think I'm blaming Trump. I believe, and I've come to this understanding, there's a uniparty. Okay, and on the extreme edges, there's right and there's left, but they're always meant to fight each other. But the uniparty, they all work together because they all serve the same beast. And, I believe that Trump was going to change things around. Well, here we are now. We got more wars going on because he ain't running the show. Who is running the show? The beast is running the show. And I told you Wednesday, I said he couldn't stop this if he wanted to. I mean, the only way to stop it is to cut the money off to Israel, cut the money off to Ukraine, and the powers that be, the Lindsey Grahams, these stupid, ignorant people, they'll have him killed if he doesn't. I know you're not supposed to say this stuff from the pulpit, right? But I'm just telling you the truth. So what runs the whole system? What runs the whole system? I mean, we get sold this bill of goods, make America great again. My question is, and we should all question, when was America great to start with? Was it in the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s? I mean, the question is yours. When is it? What is Donald Trump referring to when he says make America great again? I can tell you what he's referring to. He's referring to the early 1900s. The early 1900s. I'm talking late 1800s, early 1900s. What was going on then? Huh? Late 1800s, like 1890 up to 1910. Yeah, it was industrialized. Okay? And when it was industrialized, who had all the money? J.D. Rockefeller? J.P. Morgan. You understand? So the rich got filthy rich. And so that's the greatness they want to refer to. Only 3 presidents since then has not wanted that to happen. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Jimmy Carter. Every other president has been for the corporations. You remember the Democratic Party, we used to think was for us. Remember? All of us unions, we thought the Democratic Party was all for us. Man, remember all that? And boy, Bill Clinton sold everything out now. So the Republicans owned by big business, the Democrats owned by big business. Where does that leave you? Serving the machine. Now, I know this is going to sound kind of funny, but I got to tell you this, and I want to really hurry here. The system that runs the beast, the empire that is behind it all, and it's right in plain sight, is called the Federal Reserve. And I know you're thinking, how could this be? There is nothing federal about it. Our forefathers fought against it. The unreligious people fought against it, and kudos to them because they saw the dangers of it. And it's called a central bank. And the bank has the ability to create money out of nothing. And it's operating in plain sight. And what is good inflation? Anybody? What's good inflation? Give me a number. Good inflation. 3.5%. Anybody else? Good inflation. That's good inflation. 0. God told us in the Bible you could loan money without usury, didn't he? Y'all know what this is. This is a 1921 silver peace dollar. Do you know what it was worth in 1921? $1. It was our mode of trade. Do you know what this thing is worth today? $36. That's how much silver has went up. Now you think, well, that's really good. That is 3,500% inflation. Now, the Fed comes out and says we want 2% inflation. And we buy the pill and we say 2 is good, 2 is horrible. So if you start saving, okay, here they are. They got a new baby. Here's Jake. And Jake says, I'm going to start saving for my baby's college. 2%. I'm going to start putting up my money in the bank, 2%. I'm going to save up, and 18 years from now, I'm going to have enough money to put my baby through college. Well, if you do that at 2% inflation, you lost 43% of your money. Does that strike anybody? 43% of your money. So you got $10,000 and you said, I'm going to put it over here in my gun safe, and in 18 years, I'm going to get it out. You just as well to set fire to $6,500. And we say that's good. We say that's good. Right? And when you can create money out of nothing, the whole system thrives on war. War feeds the machine. Let me tell you something. John F. Kennedy wanted to shut the Fed down because anybody in here read the Constitution? Hopefully, you've read it. Okay. According to the Constitution, only the Congress has the authority to mint coins and money. So the Fed's is illegal. It's illegal. And guess who started the Fed? The Fed was started by J.P. Morgan, Baron Rothschild, Jacob Schiff, Paul Warburg, and J.D. Rockefeller in Jekyll Island in Georgia. In 1913, the Federal Reserve Act went online, beginning the rape not only of all of our money, but all of the world's money. Because now the system has metastasized into the IMF. And they control everything. So what's going on in the Middle East? They want instability. They do not want stability anywhere in the world. Okay? Do you guys remember that ludicrous, ruthless, ugly ruler of Libya? Do y'all remember his name? Muammar Gaddafi. What was he known for? Huh? But do you remember what was told to us? Oh my God, he's a ruthless dictator. He's a ruthless dictator. You know what his problem was? Let me tell you what was going on in Libya under his reign. He reigned 42 years in Libya. Electricity was free. All your education, free. You could go to school to be a doctor. All the way up through, free. All your health care, free. When you got married, he cut you a check for $50,000. Guys, you got Google on your phone. You go check all this stuff out. He had the largest irrigation system because a lot of Libya was desert, and he irrigated the desert, and they had no debt. Bankers, they had banks, but guess what interest they charged? 0. Now, one of the stipulations was you could not rent out houses because he wanted everybody there to be a homeowner. So I couldn't own 2 houses and rent one out. No, that was illegal because he wanted everybody to be a homeowner. And what his problem was, he was this close to uniting Africa, who Africa was full of the French and the Brits and us raping the minerals, the gold, the diamonds, everything else. He was this close to uniting the whole continent of Africa and selling his oil on the gold dinar. What happened? He had to go. He had to go. So we took him out, sold it to us that he was a ruthless dictator. Now, was he perfect? No. Are we perfect? No. Saddam Hussein, what was the real reason we took out Saddam Hussein? Again, he had the audacity to not sell oil in American dollars. We're not going to have that, buddy. You got to go. The list goes on and on and on. The beast. The beast feeds on war. And like I said, $36 trillion in debt. And how do they steal your money? They steal your money through inflation. That's why Tom T. Hall was right. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And by chance, just by chance, let's just say that Dad does really good, and Dad's he hits it big, and Dad amasses a fortune of about $3 million, and then he passes away, and he says, "Kids, I'm passing this fortune on to you. Here's $3 million. All right." What do you think's going to happen? What's inheritance tax going to do to us? Yeah. We ain't even going to be able to afford it. Why? Because they always want to keep you in slavery. And only a few break out of the gravitational pull of the beast. And guys, if we don't understand this and recognize this, if you want to know how we get out of this system, if we don't get out from under the Federal Reserve, they will be catastrophe like you have never seen before. Used to, this money was backed by gold and silver. And I could not loan you any more money than I had. But now I can loan as much as I want. And the banks, called fractional reserve banking, don't even have to have any money in the bank. Wouldn't that be cool? William comes to me. I'm the banker. William says, "I need $100,000. Cool. Here, let me just write you a piece of paper. Here's your $100,000. And then I'm going to charge you interest for it. And the true inflation rate has not been 4 or 5%. That's what's told you. But how do they change the math all the time, right? I'm like, how can you change the math? The true inflation rate is up around 20, 25%. So I'm losing. So every time I make $1, I'm losing a quarter right out of the gate. And they want to keep us blind and dumb to it so that we don't ask questions, so that we don't demand any change. And, the system just keeps knocking off people. That's what I'm saying, guys. This is not for sissies. This is the real deal. The real deal. And the end result will be, if we don't change this, we will crash and burn. And it don't care who you elect. It ain't going to make any difference because they're all just feeding the same system. And the beast is in charge. And I just read it to you right there. And war is how they make money. And since 1913, since this went online, they cause every boom and every bust. It's not, they just happen. They're manufactured. And what happens? What happened in the 1920s, the boom? What happened in the 30s? Depression. Then what happened after that? We need a savior. Who's going to save us? The government. So we gave over all of our power. And we gave more and more and more. And we have Social Security. We have all of these social programs. Now, we're supposed to be a republic, a democracy, but we have socialist programs. And in 2008, when all the banks went under, and the $800 billion bailout by the great and mighty walks on water Obama himself. Who did he bail out? You? Who got billions of dollars bonus? The bankers. And who foots the bill? We do. You understand here? This is the beast. And when war cries are being put out, the beast is hungry. And this is how the beast feeds. And we offer our kids. Here's a book, if anybody wants to read it, by General Smedley Butler, Marine Corps General. It's a real thin book. And what's the title of that? War is a Racket. He wrote this before World War II. Marine Corps General going all over the world. This guy fought at the shores of Tripoli. You know the Marine Corps hymn, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Tripoli right here. What were we doing? As we always do, overthrowing governments, putting them down, taking their stuff. Got to feed the beast. Got to feed the beast. I know that's a long ways. Now I'm gonna quit with that and just say this: where are the peacemakers? Where are the peacemakers? They're not gonna cause fear anymore. They're not gonna put fear in me no more, because I used to buy it all. I used to drink the Kool-Aid, as they say. No more fear. No more fear. Every time I hear the horns of war going, that's the beast wanting to eat, and people will die. People will die. So it ought to cause us to go to our knees praying for wisdom and praying for understanding and praying for strength, that somebody can stop the IMF. Somebody can put the feds out of business and go back to a monetary system that is fair and equal. You remember in the days when you could work. Dad, how much did you make when you was going to the shipyard? You remember? How much? $2 an hour. And I know that sounds like a lot, but you know what? You could raise a family on $2 an hour and buy a house and a car on $2 an hour. I can't even buy a bottle of pop for $2, much less $2 an hour. Now you think about that. $2 an hour. It's $80 a week. And this is what we've come to. Thousands of percent inflation. It tears me up, guys. Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't like seeing Iranians, men, women, and children blowed up. I don't like seeing Israelis, men, women, and children blowed up. I don't like seeing Ukrainians blowed up. I don't like seeing Russians blowed up. I don't like Gazans. Nowhere in the world. Nowhere in the world. When they learn peace, learn war no longer. Maybe we'll quit with that.